I never believed a house could hate someone until I moved into this one. I am writing this while sitting in my living room staring at a door that should not be open. I have locked it 5 times already tonight, but each time I turn around it slowly creaks back open like something on the other side is testing me, waiting for the moment I finally stop checking. I need you to understand something before I go further. Nothing in this house is loud. Nothing jumps or screams or crashes. That would almost be easier. The house does everything quietly, slowly, so you doubt your own sanity. It waits for darkness. It learns your habits. It moves only when your back is turned. It started the first night I moved in. A small creak here, a soft thump there. I assumed the house was just settling like people always say old houses do. But this house is not old. It is not even 10 years built. Everything inside looks new but feels used, like 100 families lived here before me and left something behind. There are no cracks in the walls, no water damage, no signs that anything should be making noise in the middle of the night. Yet it does. I tried to tell myself it was just nerves adjusting to a new place, but the noises began forming patterns. Every night around 2:13 a.m., the same soft knock came from inside the walls right behind my bedroom headboard. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks again. Never louder, never faster, just patient rhythmic tapping that made my heart pound so violently I could barely breathe. Sometimes I would hear footsteps in the hallway, but when I turned on the light, the floor would be silent and still no trace of movement, no shift in shadows, no air displaced. I started leaving every light on, but the house hated that. The bulbs flickered like eyes straining in pain, as if the darkness was their protection and I was invading it. One night every single bulb in the house blew out at the same time. Dead silence. Absolute black. I could hear breathing somewhere right next to me in the dark, and I froze, waiting for something to touch me. It never did. It just watched. I could feel it watching. That was when I should have left, but I stayed. I told myself sleep deprivation was tricking my mind, so I set up cameras. Simple indoor security cameras, motion activated with night vision. I pointed one down the hallway, one facing the living room, and one directly at my bed. I thought that would make me feel safe. It made everything worse. The first night recording showed nothing unusual except for one detail that I did not notice until slowly scrolling through the timeline. My bedroom door, which I had closed completely before going to bed, stood slightly open in the footage from 3:04 a.m. I had not moved. I had not gotten up. No motion alert triggered. It was just suddenly open by 2 inches. The next frame it was open 6 inches. The next it was wide enough for someone to slip through. But no one appeared in the doorway. There was no shape, no hand, no shadow, just movement without a mover. I deleted the footage. I did not want proof that the house was not empty. The next night the knocking behind the headboard was louder. Not aggressive, just more confident, like it knew that I knew. I pushed the bed away from the wall, hoping that would stop it. It did not. The knocking simply shifted positions, following the bed to the middle of the room, then continuing directly behind my head, even though there was nothing but air there. I pressed my hand to the wall to try to feel for pipes or animals or anything that could explain it. The wall was warm, too warm. Like something living was pressed against it from the other side. I barely slept after that. The house began adapting to my attempts to resist. If I tried music to drown out the sounds, the speakers malfunctioned and produced glitches that sounded almost like whispers. If I wore earplugs, I would wake to find them placed neatly on my nightstand with my bedroom door open again. Always open, always waiting. Finally, I reached a breaking point. I called the woman who used to live here. Her number was still printed on an old envelope in the mailbox. When she answered, she sounded terrified just hearing my voice. I had not even asked a question before she said, "Do not go into the basement." I told her I had not gone down there yet. She said, "Good, do not even open that door. It is not empty down there." She hung up before I could ask anything else. I wanted to believe she was just unstable, maybe paranoid. But when I approached the basement door the next day, every instinct in my body screamed to stay away. The handle felt cold enough to burn. Something on the other side was breathing, quiet but heavy, like it was pressed against the wood trying to smell who was touching it. I backed away slowly. The breathing stopped immediately as if it knew I was scared and delighted in that knowledge. That night was the first time I heard it speak, not in words, more like the sound of a voice trying to form words, a raspy moan leaking through the cracks of the house like the walls themselves were trying to whisper. It happened right behind me while I sat on the couch. My skin crawled so violently that I dropped the remote and ran to my room, slamming the door. I sat against it, shaking, waiting, praying. And that brings us to now. I have locked the bedroom door 5 times tonight, and every time it opens again. Not fast, not aggressive. Just a slow, gentle swing, like someone testing how long it will take for me to stop getting up to close it. The gaps are getting larger too. Now the door stands half open and I can see the hallway through it. Pitch black, but something is standing there. I cannot see it fully, but I can feel its attention. Heavy, focused. Like a predator watching prey that has nowhere left to run. My phone battery is dying. I do not know how long I can stay awake. But if I fall asleep, something tells me the door will finally open all the way, and whatever has been practicing walking in this house will step inside. And I do not think it wants me to leave this place alive. I cannot stop staring at the hallway. The darkness feels thick like it has weight, and I swear I can hear it breathing softly just past the threshold. My bedroom door is half open and every instinct tells me to close it. My fingers are frozen. I cannot move. The air feels heavier the longer I sit here. Every second stretches into an eternity. I thought the house was just old wood and drywall, but now I know it is alive. Not in a way you see, but in a way you feel. Something is inside and it hates me. It has waited for me to understand that the basement was not empty. It has waited for me to acknowledge that this is no ordinary house. I tried to leave. I packed my keys in my bag and moved toward the front door, but the floorboards groaned like they were speaking. I thought I heard my name whispered so faintly, I almost convinced myself it was the wind. I reached for the handle and it would not turn. Locked. I did not lock it. I never locked the door. The house must have. It does not want me to leave. I ran back to my bedroom and slammed the door. The walls creak as if laughing at me. I can hear faint scuffing on the floor outside. Slow, methodical steps packing back and forth in the hallway. The knocking behind my headboard has returned, but now it is accompanied by something else. Something crawling inside the walls. Something stretching its long, thin fingers along the wood framing. I want to scream, but my throat is dry. I try to speak, but nothing comes out. The air itself feels heavy enough to choke me. I remember the basement. I remember the warning. Do not go into the basement. I told myself I would not. But now I know the house has been waiting for me to give in. The door creaks as if inviting me. I approach it slowly and place my hand on the cold handle. It is icy. I feel the pulse of something on the other side, slow, deliberate, like it is alive and counting my heartbeat. The door seems bigger somehow, taller than it should be, wider than it should be. I push it open a fraction and darkness pours out. Thick black smoke that smells like iron and rot and fear. I take a step inside. The basement is not a basement. It is a cavern, walls of stone instead of brick. Roots hanging from the ceiling like fingers reaching for prey. The air vibrates with low moans. Something moves in the shadows, but I cannot tell if it is one thing or many. Shapes flicker at the edges of my vision. I hear scratching behind me and realize the door is shut. Not closed, shut. Slammed by some force that I cannot resist. I am trapped. I see movement at the far end of the cavern. A figure emerges. It is tall, impossibly thin. Limbs bend in wrong angles. Its face is blank, yet I feel its eyes boring into my soul. The whispering grows louder. Words form. Names. Mine, calling me, telling me to come closer. Every fiber in my body screams to run, but my legs will not move. My heart is pounding, but the air is too thick for my lungs to fill. I stumble forward and the floor gives way beneath me. Not falling, but sliding into darkness. I land on something soft but sticky. Smell hits me like a wall. Blood. I'm not alone. Fingers brush my arms from the darkness, cold, wet skin. I pull back, but the more I resist, the tighter the grip becomes. I can hear hundreds of breathing patterns all around me, watching, waiting. The moaning has turned into laughter, slow, sinister laughter that crawls beneath my skin. Then I see the other side of the cavern. The basement door is gone, replaced by a wall of faces pressed against the stone. Eyes wide, mouths open. Silent screams frozen forever. Some move slightly, blink, follow me. The thing in front of me bends down and touches my face. Skin cold like water, fingers inside my hair. I feel a pulling sensation like it is trying to drag me into the wall, into the faces, into the darkness. I struggle, but there is nothing to hold on to. No floor, no ceiling. Nothing except the thing that is slowly consuming me. And then I hear it, my own voice, whispering, not me, not human, saying the same thing over and over, do not fight, do not fight. The more I resist, the faster it pulls. I am falling into the wall, into the screaming faces, into the nothing. My vision fractures. I can see the bedroom, the hallway, the front door, but it is all too far, too small. I am too deep. I am trapped. I feel myself being absorbed. Consciousness stretches thin. Every memory of my life flashes before me, my family, my friends. Every moment I ever lived is being watched by something that has always existed in this house. Something patient, waiting, feeding. I am not leaving. I will never leave. The last thing I hear is the laughter, slow, deep, echoing in every wall. I am swallowed by darkness and the house is quiet again. Except it is not. It waits for the next tenant, for the next person foolish enough to think it is just a house, for someone to open that basement door and finally understand that this place does not want residents, it wants souls. And if you are hearing this now, if you are watching this video, know one thing. The house never sleeps. It watches, and it remembers.